Okay, well, sometimes science is more art than science, Morty. A lot of people don't get that.
Rick and Morty is an intelligent, sardonic adult cartoon that has become wildly popular over the last 2 years. It's episodic yet plot-driven, and there's a reason for this: subtlety. The show is a great many things, but one thing it most definitely is subtle. Rick and Morty contains countless pop culture references, maintains an amazingly solid continuity, and plot points to later episodes often contain subtle reference to background or foreground information from previous episodes. Rick and Morty is a show all about subtlety. Even before it officially aired, the promo commercials contained bits of information or imagery that would actually show up or happen in the real show. Whether it was Rick working on his ionic defibrillator, or Rick suggesting that he is an intergalactic criminal.
This can't be a promo commercial. You're lying. Beth, Summer, do something.
They're not gonna help you, Jerry, because
Oh my God, no!
they were just aliens trying to catch me and Morty. Because guess why? We're a couple of intergalactic criminals.
No!
Whoa! I'm from planet Earth. I know the whereabouts of Rick Sanchez, the wanted criminal.
Or when Rick blows up a promo commercial with a bomb device strapped to his body.
Morty, we're in a promo commercial. This isn't real life.
You just said it was real life.
He's a promotion from Planet Promos. He'll say anything to get you to watch our show.
Our show? What are you talking about,
No
Rick?
time. I have to blow everything up, Morty.
Oh my God.
We're gonna take control of this plane.
You see, Rick and Morty isn't just a cartoon, it's a work of art. And much in the same way as real art often functions with subtle background or foreground information, Rick and Morty does the same thing. Subtlety is a powerful narrative because it adds layers of depth to the viewing experience. You can watch it over and over and will likely catch all sorts of things you didn't notice the first, second, or even 10th time. Subtlety is so powerful it makes you question what's intentional and what's not intentional. It'll make you overthink, underthink, or rethink what's going on. Take this example.
Fuck me, pal. Fuck you. No. Fuck me.
Is this play on words possibly some kind of Austin Powers reference?
Fuck you. Fuck me.
Am I overthinking this? I don't know. It's really just too subtle to tell. But the point is that subtlety makes you think, and thinking is poignant. Or well, at least I like to think so. I don't know. Think for yourself about that. Or don't. Just don't be sheep. Listen to what I'm saying and think for yourself. Now you see what I did there? Of course you did. Because you thought for yourself. Didn't you? Even the casting of various voice actors within the show contain layers of subtlety. One very obvious example is Beth being a surgeon, considering she's being played by Sarah Chalk, who has been cast as a doctor in various other roles. Or casting Christina Hendricks as the role of Unity and having Unity resemble Christina Hendricks, but an even more subtle example is in Season 2, Episode 4, Total Recall. Brain parasites take control of the Smith family, and the episode takes a dark yet comedic or sardonic look at paranoia and assimilation. One of the key characters, or key brain parasites rather, to question the situation is Reverse Giraffe.
You know me, I'm Reverse Giraffe. I have a short neck and legs.
Reverse Giraffe is voiced by Keith David, who is most notorious for playing the supporting role of Childs in the 1982 horror classic The Thing, which is about paranoia and assimilation.
Did you kill it? Where were you, Childs?
Any TV show or movie that takes the time to be subtle is likely to be well thought out because subtlety does not usually exist in linear stories, or rather stories crafted via a linear thought process. Think of story subtlety as a scatterplot you get to fill in rather than a straight line you simply follow along. Subtlety is interactive and engaging, whereas linear stories are at best captivating. Moving on, let's get into the Season 3 predictions I've come up with of who will save Rick. Number 5, Unity. Now, she's not entirely likely to save Rick, as they seem pretty resolved about their relationship, but between her army of blue people and the Beta 7 Borg army, they certainly have the numbers and means to storm a galactic prison and free Rick. And Morty and Summer are both well acquainted with Unity, so I could sorta see this one happening. Number 4, Evil Morty. Evil Morty definitely has unfinished business with RC-137 Rick. I could easily imagine a scenario with Evil Morty swooping in to abduct and finish Rick off himself. Also, while on the topic of Evil Morty, I'd like to suggest a theory about him. Many people seem to think that evil Morty is simply just an abnormality, a one-off evil genius Morty. I theorize that evil Morty is a robot that our C-137 Rick built. He's also a character that we've seen countless subtle times, which is the Morty bot shown in the opening credits. Now hear me out on this. We all know Rick is capable of making some really messed up stuff like Aberdolf Linkler or a slavery microverse to power his car, and when it comes to his robot or robot-like inventions, they often experience serious existential dread. We see this with Snuffles, a dog equipped with cybernetic enhancements, and the Butterbot that questions its purpose. Alright, so with this in mind, we already know from the opening credits that Rick has made a robotic Morty. That being the case, I could easily imagine a robotic Morty that suffers from some serious existential dread, especially due to being designed by Rick. Oftentimes, the created resents its creator, which is also a key theme in Rick and Morty, not only with Snuffles and the Butterbot, but also with living creations made by Rick, like Zeep and Aberdolf Linkler. But theories aside, let's move on to number 3. Number 3, Squanchy/Fugitive Comrades. It seems to me that Rick is pretty tight with Squanchy and the rest of these unnamed fugitives, so I could easily see Squanchy alongside a group of rebel fugitives busting Rick out of prison. It's a pretty easy, pretty obvious setup, and it would hold quite a bit of logic and merit to it. Number 2, Morty/the Smith family. Obviously, the Smith family, with the exception of Jerry, cares about Rick, and I could easily imagine the Smiths being vital to Rick's escape. However, I also imagine that if this was the case, likely they'd be using materials, gadgets, or instructions left behind by Rick to accomplish saving Rick, which moves us on to the number 1 contender for saving Rick. Number 1, Rick/himself. Countless possibilities here, but just to name a few, Rick may figure out some easy cookie-cutter genius way of getting out of there. Rick may have already rigged or wired or set up the prison for an easy escape at some previous time, which is why he was okay about going to prison in the first place. The Council of Ricks may come to save Rick, which is essentially Rick saving himself, or maybe our Rick is truly Rick out of luck, but not to worry because another Rick from another timeline, possibly one without a family or one that lost his family somehow, will join the C-137 Smith family, and all will be well once again. Now, look, I could keep naming possibilities of how Rick/himself could save himself, but I'm just going to stop there. I believe Rick will save himself in some amazing way. I also think that any one of the other ways mentioned could happen, or possibly some variation of the other ways could happen. It may even be some entirely new character that gets Rick out of this, but this list is limited to suggesting a solution with characters we've already seen that are capable of helping Rick. So that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and be sure to check out my previous Rick and Morty music video that I made, and until then, I'll see you next time.